Support and resistance trading. One of the most common topics that you will find across the internet when it comes to day trading, swing trading, or investing in general. However, support and resistance isn't just about drawing random lines on the chart. That's actually art therapy. Now, from time to time, I will receive pictures like this, and the only thing I can think about is, who the hell drew this? Stevie Wonders? No way, right? There's no way that with all these lines that it's gonna be beneficial for you. So in this video, I'm gonna cover everything you need to know about support and resistance, understanding two main things: the logic behind support and resistance, and most importantly, the application for it. In the application part, there is a 3-step process that you can follow, and if you just follow these 3 steps, after this video, you will be a pro at trading with support and resistance. So let's head right onto it. Oh, 1 second, before we get started, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I know a lot of you guys who are watching are not subscribers. So do support the channel by hitting the subscribe button, and let's get started. So when it comes to support and resistance, the only thing you need to understand is it's all about price. What I mean by that is when the market goes up to a certain point, there will be certain individuals, banks, hedge funds that thinks that the market is overpriced and it's time to sell. And vice versa, if let's say price drops to a certain point, the whole market sentiment may think that things are looking like it's at a discount now, so let's continue to do the buy. So what we're doing in the markets is essentially looking for price points that tells us the bigger players like the hedge funds, the banks, governments, and understand what they are thinking at those price points. And if we have a big move away from those price points, that just tells us there is strong significance at that price, which also means that becomes our support or resistance. Okay, now if we look at Bitcoin here on the daily time frame, I want to draw your attention to this price point here. At around 91,000 here, we have a few areas where price continues to move up from. This point here, this point here, 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 and here. So all of this is telling us there is big players in the market holding in the market because they believe it's at a very good price and buys are supposed to happen there. So every time we see that there is a move down to the 92 price, we see a very strong move away. And when you see that happens multiple times at the same price point, that becomes a strong support level, like this. Now, the flip side here is, if we look at this price point here, around 108,000, we see every time price comes up, it gets sold off very, very quickly. So the first time it happened here, look at the way that it happened the second time, right here. Came down very, very quickly. And that tells us the bigger institution, they think market is overpriced there and they think a sell should happen. Hence, they sold their position, which is why price went down. So if I connect these two areas, this would be our resistance area because price is being resistance at that level, hence resistance. On the bottom side, price is being supported at this price, hence we call it support. Now, simple enough, right? The next thing you want to understand is at support, buys tend to happen, as I explained earlier, and at a resistance area, sells tend to happen, okay? So here's 2 hacks for you to take away from understanding what's strong support and resistance and what's not strong support and resistance. The first hack is, if there is multiple reaction of the same price point around the same zone, that's gonna form a strong support or resistance area, just like what we have at the 92 price. The second hack to understand strong support resistance area is how dramatic the move away from that price is. Okay, so if we focus on this move right here, this is a very, very dramatic move, right? This right here is also a very, very dramatic move away from that price point. And I'm gonna show you a few more examples using these hacks where you can clearly identify strong support and resistance area. So the next thing that I wanna show you is what happens when a resistance or a support breaks to the other side? Now remember what I was saying earlier. These are areas where people are buying. We know big institutions are buying. And when we have a break below, everyone knows that you are supposed to sell the underneath side of the test. Now, it's important to understand the logic behind this. And the logic here, the reasoning behind this is because put yourself in the position of the buyers right here and here. Basically this entire zone. If that's the price you're always buying at, and let's say you wake up one day and you see a strong move down towards the downside. Obviously, if you're buying at the 92 price, you are in a drawdown, okay? You are basically in the red. And if you're in the red, if you're in a drawdown, what's the only way to get out of the market without taking any losers? The only way to do that is if price comes back up, tag the same price that you got in at, you get out of the market. And how do you get out of the market? You start selling, right? You sell off your position. So any buys that you were taking here, 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 as price comes back up, as you're in drawdown, you sell off your position. And what happens when enough people are selling? Things will start to drop. That's why when people say, if you have a range break, just take the retest of the range because the retest is going to be strong. But you need to understand why in order for you to truly have conviction in your trading. Because conviction is a very, very crucial trait to have when you're day trading, okay? Now, this same analogy, same idea can also be applicable when you're in a trending market. Remember the hack that I was saying earlier, the two main things. Number one, a strong support resistance would require multiple touches. And then number two, it needs to have a violent, dramatic move away. So what we just talked about right here is the one where there's multiple touches forming a range with a breakout. If we take the same idea, the same concept, and if we apply it on a trending market, it will look something like this right here. If I draw your attention to, again, Bitcoin, as we are forming higher highs and higher lows here with price going up, down, this is clearly an uptrend. Now, in this uptrend, I want you to focus on where is the support, or where is the resistance in this case. Now, from what I was saying earlier, a strong S&R is defined by how violent or how dramatic the move away was. So if we look at this move up and this tiny move back down, is that strong? Is that violent? It's not really, right? Not really strong at all. Move up, came back down a little bit. Is that strong? No, right? So it's not really a support resistance that we want to be looking at. But this one here, as we go up, strong move back down and then a breakthrough, that right there. Now that's an area that you want to be marking out. So it was once acting as a resistance, holding the market and turning into a support later on. See how we break through that area, came down, retested that same level, and then we have a strong move towards the upside, okay? So the logic here also applies in the same manner, right? As price is going up, these moves down here, those are caused by institutional sellers, right? Because me and you, we are not able to move the markets, right? So the fact that there is a strong move back down here, that means bigger players, much bigger than you and I, they are selling from this point. And what happens if price push through like this? They are trapped, right? They sold and now they are in drawdown. Only way to get out of a drawdown is waiting for price to come back to the same area for these guys who were selling to get out at break even, to clear off their position so that they're not taking any losses. And how would they do this? The only way to do that, if they were selling before, is to hit the buy, to release their sell position. And let's say if enough traders are coming in at that same point looking for the buys, this is going to fly, okay? So that's the whole idea behind support and resistance. Now, I've covered a little bit about the logic, I covered a little bit about how you will trade it, but I want to go through a couple of examples to show you exactly how you would be executing it live. Before I do that, just make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. That's really gonna help the channel grow. I really appreciate that. So let's head on to Euro USD. So on Euro USD, I am looking at this on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, and on the 4-hour time frame, I'm just eyeballing and looking at where the key points are in the market. Where are the violent moves? Where's the dramatic move happening from? Now I see this price point here, we have a huge move away. At the same price point, we have a move away here, and then one more time here, which caused this huge move towards the upside. So using one of the two hacks that we were talking about, this is definitely a strong support area. What happens later on? It breaks to the downside. And by now, you should understand that when a strong support like that breaks, that means a lot of traders are trapped. And if we do get a retest on the underside, that's where we want to look for a sell. However, we do not just want to sell as price comes back up. I'm going to show you 3 more steps where you can use to get a much higher precision entry. As price comes up into this area, what you want to do is drop down to one time frame lower, 15-minute time frame. And I'm going to extend this out like this. And this is the zone we were looking at, like so. Now, remember what we're trying to do here. We're trying to sell at this zone here. How are we gonna do that on the lower time frame? The lower time frame gives us much more detailed picture of what's going on the pullback. And if we catch it right, we are able to get in with a very tight stop with a huge risk to reward. So step number 1, make sure to mark out the higher time frame S&R, which we have marked out here. Once we have done that, drop down to the lower time frame. Go to the 60-minute time frame, in this case, from the 4-hour time frame. And on the lower time frame, the only thing that we're gonna be focusing on is fading the uptrend. Okay, when I say uptrend, I'm talking about this pullback. So we're gonna be fading the pullback on the lower time frame. Now, this lower time frame pullback is nothing but a miniature uptrend. The only thing you want to do is making sure that the uptrend fails. So we see a move up, down, okay? It's constantly making higher highs and higher lows. As it reaches this point here, you do not want to be selling prematurely, because we could be selling here and have a stop out. We could be selling here and have a stop out. You don't want to get in prematurely. The only place where you want to be getting in at is when this guy who started the last final move got taken out completely. Once that has occurred, anything that you do afterwards guarantees you a much higher probability of the trade running down to the recent low. Once this candle has come in right here, taking out this last guy who started this move, you want to put your entry right around areas like this. Why? Because again, I'm focusing on the miniature area now. And where's the miniature S&R? We see this move forming the last push to the upside. And because it's so strong, at least on this time frame, that tells us there is buyers there. Okay? And what happens to the buyers when price crosses below? Buyers are trapped. If buyers are trapped, how would they get out without taking any losers? They would scratch their trade, they would remove their position. In this case, they will sell off their position at around the same price point. So in this case, this price point reacts perfectly and forms this shooting star. Now your stop loss do not need to be tight. It just needs to be out of the way, and you can target the recent low very, very easily. So in a trade like this, you would be able to take at least 2 Rs out of this trade. Now let me show you another example I have here on gold. Gold, I'm looking at this on the 4-hour time frame, and where do I see a significant and dramatic move away? I see a significant and dramatic move away here, but not just that. At this same price point, it happened multiple times, which means it's gonna form a very strong resistance. Later on, when it was broken through, it's gonna turn into a strong support, where we actually came back and test that area. So step number 1 is done. We have marked out our higher time frame level. Second step, go down one time frame lower and just fade the downtrend. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a downtrend coming in, right? In a move towards the downside, we have lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower low, lower highs. But here, look, the lower low stops forming. This again is telling you the downtrend is in danger, and what's more than that, we are at a strong support equals resistance area on the higher time frame. When price reaches that strong area, and when you see the trend on the lower time frame turning around, that's a big sign telling you things are going to turn. Again, I want you to think about what's happening here. If we really focus on the psychology of the downtrend, what are all of the traders doing at each point in the market? Say we are in a downtrend on the lower time frame. When we have a pullback, what are traders doing? They're looking to sell. Did they sell here? They did. They sold. A pullback came in for the sell side. Did they sell? Pullback? Yeah, they sold, right? We clearly see a move away. This price point where people were selling before, it got breached to the upper side. What happened to anyone who was selling? They are trapped. And if they are trapped, they're likely going to try to get out of the market without taking any losers. The only way to do that here is for the sellers to buy back their position. Now, that information alone is not going to be strong enough to propel any market. You need to make sure you understand that. But if you put this into context with the higher time frame support and resistance area, that's going to help wonders. So now that we know that anyone who was selling is trapped and they're trying to get out if price returns to this area, this becomes an area where it's going to be super powerful to look for the buys. On top of that, we are, no pun intended, on top of a strong support and resistance area. So the buy position will look something like this. We will take a buy right here. Let me just quickly remove the levels and mark out where the profit marker would be. Stop loss would be right at the recent low, and let's take it up to the recent high. This would give us a more or less a 3R trade. Okay, if we play this forward, this will look something like this. Price holds there, boom, we are at target. Okay, easily a 3R trade, just using the 3-step process. So far, everything I've been talking about is about looking for a pullback in the trending market. Some of you guys may be wondering, can I use support and resistance in a range format, and can I just trade at the top of the range or at the bottom of the range? Because that's also very highly advertised. I'm gonna show you exactly how you can do that. So let's have a look at oil. Now, look at oil here on the 1 hour time frame, and what we have here is a downtrend. Okay, it's clear as day. The other thing that we have is these few areas where price continuously found support, right? Buyers are coming in to look for the buys there. Now, by no way is this a dramatic move away because it's not strong, but remember the hack that we were talking about? Just because that it reacted multiple times at the same price point, it tells us that that level is important. So let's mark out a level like this. Okay, so we have marked out that level, right? Price breaks down from this support area, pull this further, and we have a pullback coming in. Remember what I was telling you earlier? If support is broken to the downside and price comes back up, anyone who's trapped buying, they're gonna try and release their position. Hence, a sell happening. So now, just keep up with me here. Sells are happening at this area. Well, we clearly know that because now this area has become our resistance. So anything that comes to a resistance is probably gonna be an area to sell. So now that this area here is a selling area, and we have proof of that because we see sell happening here, I want to show you what happens next. Price coming back into this range, and on a higher time frame, all of this area here would just look like a faker, and this will look like a fake breakout to the downside, returning back into the range. And if we know that price is returning back into the range, where is price likely to go? It's gonna go to the top of the range, right here. You want to understand that support and resistance, they are like magnets in the market. It's always gonna pull and repel price. So here, as we break up through and back into this range, if we get a retest into this area, that's an area you want to buy. Why is that the case? Because we know anyone who was selling here, they are probably trapped. Trapped sellers, on the flip side, they would want to buy back their position so that they're not losing any money. So if we extend this out, this is gonna be the area we want to look for the buys. So as simple as that. let's just look for a pullback into that area so that we can look for the buys. We see a hole in the market and we see a move down. This move down into this area is pip perfect for an entry. We'll look for a buy right here and our profit marker will look something like this. We would put our stop loss right around this point. Target is very straightforward. We would take our target to the top end of this range. This right here would be a 2 to 1 R trade, a 200% return. So let's see how fast we can get to target with this strategy. I'm gonna play this forward. Initial launch very quickly, absolutely no drawdown. Pull back a little bit and there we go, reaching target. Okay, very quickly, this is a 2-hour trade using what we call as a fake range breakout trade. This is one of my favorite strategy when it comes to trading ranges. You don't want to just be selling at the top, buying at the bottom. You want to wait for people being trapped on the wrong side, making sure that people are on the wrong foot and then take advantage of that and take the other side. That's where real money is made. And I want you to check this out. We are on the 1 hour time frame and this is where we got in on the market. If I go to the 240 here, I want to pull your attention to this area right here. Just look at this area. This is also a strong support right here, supporting price multiple times, which becomes resistance later on because buyers were trapped. Buyers were trying to get rid of their position, looking for sells, and then they got trapped one more time as price continues to go up. So when you see an area where constantly people are being trapped at, that's a support and resistance area you want to be focusing on. And if we extend that towards the right hand side here, that's the price point that we were getting in at. And that's the perfect entry with zero drawdown and very fast resolution. So hopefully by now you can tell that the process just keeps repeating itself over and over again. And the fact that you are seeing me using it over and over again in the same fashion just proves how easy you can follow this approach and being able to trade it profitably. So one more time, first things first, you gotta make sure you're marking out a higher time frame level. Second thing, making sure you're tracking the lower time frame guy who started. And last but not least, waiting for a trap to happen. Bada bim, bada boom. That's all there is to it. So I hope you like this video. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. I know a lot of you guys who are watching right now who are not subscribing. So please make sure to subscribe. It would really help out this channel. And I hope you are able to take something away from this video. And I'll see you very soon again on the next one. Cheers. Bye for now.